Hello. I'm not in the best of shape. So I'll try and battle through what I can with the wrestling update, which, just because of the way I'm feeling, I'm going to run through the news, and if that's all you're getting from me this week, or at least for today, I do apologise, but I'm coming down hard with the sickness. I'm getting down where I can't even do the high-pitched stuff. I'm totally lower octave today. So hopefully it doesn't boom out your bass or something. Hopefully as well the mic's picking it up, because obviously my volume isn't entirely brilliant. I'm trying to bring it as close as possible without getting this infected as well. Brilliant. So I guess one of the big things is What Culture. The guys have departed, or at least some of them. The Adams of Pacitti and Blampied, along with King Ross, Sam Driver, and Jack King, have gone off to form a new company, at least from what I can tell. I can find it in my notes. Cultaholic Ventures. Because basically there's a Pro Wrestling Seat have got documents that were filed earlier in the month with Blampied as head of creative, Sam as head of production, Pacitti as MD, and Ross as editor-in-chief. And the nature of their business is video production and news agency activities. So, they're teasing stuff in tweets like saying join us with the C, and I guess counting down gradually as we get to the reveal. But interestingly, there's been a lot of interesting rumours and speculation put up as to the nature of What Culture, and their employee sort of tactics and sort of thing. Some very interesting comments. If I can quickly bring one of them up. Liam Lambert, who's previously written for them, basically saying that the owner and operator of What Culture is apparently well, not a likable person. Certainly saying, is being very critical about him, and there's a long tirade about it. It's so perhaps they got out, perhaps when the timing was right. I don't know. We'll have to see. Of course, that leaves WCPW in limbo a little bit, because Blampied was GM. They are going to announce the GM at the next show, which I believe is coming up later next week, like early October. See what else there is. So the GFW thing is now official. They are officially just known as Impact Wrestling. GFW is dead. Which, considering the title belts just got changed, they had to be changed again. And then it's also worth noting that the Pavilion really isn't an arena. Basically, it's just a place that has trade fairs and wine shows and senior citizen breakfasts and stuff. So it's also worth noting the building has no dressing rooms and no bathrooms, and there's no bleachers. And I noticed in publicity and whatever, the building can apparently hold as many as 2,800. Obviously, that's just a flat floor. Ed Nordholm is saying, as long as we sell 500 tickets, we'll be happy. Brilliant. Brilliant. Can't say any more because I can't even laugh that much because it's gone. It's actually gone. Oh, that hurt. So, Sexy Star's now been pulled from the AAA show in Tokyo, so she's done, by the looks of it. Good. Some sad news in terms of the wrestling. Oscar Torres, who worked as Rey Celestial, was killed last week, well, 2 weekends ago, I guess. On the 16th, said to be minutes before the Triple G Alvarez fight that happened. He was hit by a car and then the driver drove off. And recently got married, so it's a shame to see. Inoki's announced the Peter Ertz versus Scott Norton main event for his October 21st Inokiism show at Sumo Hall. So yeah, it's a kickboxing legend versus a New Japan foreigner from the previous Bullet Club, if you want to call it that. Seeing anything else? There's no news yet on where Rey Mysterio is going to go, because it does look as if the Lucha Underground stuff is really up in the air as we're building up to the Ultima Lucha stuff, which started tonight. I'll assess all that as and when I can. Netflix, well, the Netflix season of, the second season of Glow will be starting filming in October, and they'll be shooting another 10 episodes, just like they did for the last one. So in terms of the headbutt, they're saying, oh, it wasn't a blade or no blood planned, but as Dave pointed out in one of his bits on the podcast, or on the radio, if you want to call it that, there's a clear line which is where the blood sort of came from, so who knows. Nothing else major, I'd say, out of that stuff. Starcade is coming in with some interesting matches so far. Jinder Mahal against Nakamura in a steel cage, and also in the doubleheader Natalya versus Charlotte in a steel cage. We've also got that's for the WWE title and the SmackDown Women's title. AJ Styles puts the US title up for grabs against Baron Corbin and Rusev. The New Day taking on the Usos in a Tornado tag match, probably for the titles as well. Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens and Dolph Ziggler versus Bobby Roode. There has been a thing as well this week where Anderson and Gallows have called out the Rock and Roll Express, because I thought the Hardys being there now is less likely considering Jeff's situation, which we'll get to. Oh yeah, the other bit that regarding GFW that was pretty damn funny. Because they're going to Canada, Cornette can't be doing anything, so he's out. Basically, he stepped in to sort of help out Jeff, but now Jeff's gone, and the fact that obviously they went to Canada, ain't going to be doing it. So I don't know how they're going to write that out when we get to it in a few weeks. No, that'll be interesting. Jericho's announced like a wrestling rock cruise thing that he's going to be doing over the last week in October next year, the 27th to the 31st, from Miami to Nassau in the Bahamas, on board the Norwegian Jade. And there'll be a Sea of Honor tournament presented by Ring of Honor and hosted by Jim Ross. Names are listed to be on the cruise include DDP, Mick Foley, Ricky Steamboat, Rey Mysterio, Raven, Conan, Disco Inferno, Hurricane Helms, Lance Storm, Don Callis, and also members of the Busted Open radio show. Apologies, guys. This is what happens when you need to do a video and you're not great. Fozzy also going to be doing music along with King, Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons, the Vise, Jim Brewer, who will also be doing comedy, and also the Loud and Rowdy Shoot to Thrill, Blizzard of Ozzy, and the David Spijek Project. And the Sea of Honor tournament will be 12 wrestlers competing in an outdoor wrestling ring. So basically it'll be Miami to Nassau and then back, and there's more details on the website for it. I'm not sure what it is. In terms of Hell in a Cell matches, New Day and Usos is official for Hell in a Cell, and now it's been confirmed it's going to be inside Hell in a Cell. Paige looks to be coming back very soon. It's believed it's probably more likely to be the SmackDown brand because of Asuka being on Raw. PWG are going to be having their next All-Star weekend on October 20th and 21st. Meaning that Ricochet can't be at the Wrestle Circus show because of the dates clashing. WWE got a load of criticism for the whole racist Jinder Mahal stuff, which I think is ironic considering some of the stuff they've done in the past, but it's like, to me, it's not that it's racist, it's just terrible. It's not even sort of interesting or intriguing sort of stuff, really. Just very odd. Very, very odd. That's the stuff from the What Culture guys. Interestingly, Chelsea Green talked about promoters treating her differently than to the male wrestlers, saying, promoters, you can't just pay me what you think is fair, as you do with all the male talent. Ask my price and negotiate or don't book me. So interesting call out there. So here's an interesting one. WWE sent out a survey basically gauging interest on new ideas, including perhaps a premium price tier than a network. So we're talking about having like Ring of Honor on there, house shows, TNA or Impact stuff, an audio channel that would be listening only sort of content, original comedies, new reality shows, a TV 14 in-ring show, whether that is more tournaments, director's cut. So it'd be like events and matches with sort of commentary over the top of them like they do on some of the DVDs in the past. Original scripted dramas specifying a WWE version of Game of Thrones. No, because they can't write like shit. Special live events and other promotions such as New Japan, ICW or Progress. And then in terms of special features, perhaps that could be offered, such as downloading to go, so you could watch content offline. Personalization, alternate viewing options, such as different angles for the matches. A ratings or a comment system. Social viewing, so you could watch your friends. Social sharing, so you could share clips to social media. Alternate audio, and also virtual reality, so it appears that you're sitting ringside. And then benefits and perks that could be also up on offer, like entering for sweepstakes, getting breaking news first, a loyalty program, so you get points to then get like t-shirts and ticket upgrades or whatever, fan voting, special pricing, free shipping on shop orders, early access for tickets, and also perhaps a monthly call inside WWE headquarters, so being able to listen to conference calls. They've done it in the past, nothing's come around from it, so be interesting to see whether anything does come out of it. Probably won't. Probably won't. And then we get to the Flow Slam stuff. Holy shit. So Flow Slam and WWN are basically no more. So apparently, basically, it seems as if WWN, at least according to Flow Slam, were being a bit flexible with the truth, saying how they were averaging sort of 5,000 buys for the Evolve shows, which never turned out to be. Apparently Flow Slam was only at about 2,000 subscribers, and that was even before the price rise up to $30. The interesting thing is, apparently the promoter of AWE basically made it work to do a deal with the July 9th Evolve show, and that the pre-show would also be streamed through Flow Slam, like how the Tier 1 wrestling stuff was done before their New York show, and the PWX show was streamed on there before the North Carolina. Initially they were promised $1,000 for the rights fee, and amazingly, sort of in a few days, it was only bloody 2 days later, which is weird. So basically, an email got sent out. This is one of the big things. An email got sent out accidentally by Gabe on Friday, providing instructions for wrestlers that were on the shows. With Gabe claiming that the leak basically nearly cost him his job as a WWE consultant when it got published. You know, he said, quote, "I'm pretty much done with this whole indie bullshit. This almost cost me my NXT job that I've worked 23 years for." So he didn't want to actually progress indie wrestling, he just wanted a job at the E. Maybe. I don't know. Basically, the email said how Evolve was going to be entering a transitional period and wanted to use the current shows to prepare for it. Saying that he didn't want them to develop habits that they'd have to break once they got into WWE or NXT. And how the Evolve rules were very similar to the other rules, or the WWE rules. Certainly was moulding it in that way. So, basically WWN was actually doing sort of only about, they were claiming 5,000 buys for Evolve shows. They were only getting about 1,300. Shine was only getting about 600 or 700, and the FIP events were only getting about 200, which is like, why are you pushing them? Thing is, of course, they've still got like a year or so left on the contract. In fact, a year and over. And of course, the big issue is most of the people that were paying for the content, that's the stuff gone that they actually wanted to see, like the Shine stuff and the Evolve stuffs. So I think FloSlam could be out of a business. WWN were offering the shows this weekend for only $10 instead of $15. We're also asking that if you provided proof that you were a FloSlam subscriber, you could get the show for $5 instead. It'll be interesting to see how that develops, because that was like a good old mess. So in terms of the Billy Corgan NWA stuff, rumour is basically October 1st. Because all the member promotions who had licenses to use the NWA stuff will expire on the day of September 30th. And then moving forward, basically it'll be Corgan and Dave Lagana in charge. The NWA On Demand stuff will also be shut down during the transition because of Corgan purchasing Tharp's interest in the library. And also at the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood stuff, the current champ Tim Storm did an angle with Nick Aldis confronting him. And was the first time the NWA World title had been on NWA Championship Wrestling from Hollywood since Bruce had taken ownership. So pretty interesting stuff there. The key thing to note, though, is basically that promotion is sort of got a working relationship in any way. It does seem to be sort of like the CFW Championship Wrestling from Hollywood guys like Lagana and vice versa, so it looks to be that sort of deal. Maria Canales-Bennett is pregnant, so congrats to her. She explains, why she hasn't been on the shows. I guess partially why Mike hasn't been on the shows, but obviously he's still recovering from his addiction stuff. He did say this week how he's now 60 days clean, which is great to see. Some of the rumours, as terms of DVD releases for 2018, for WWE stuff, they're planning to do sets for the best of Raw and SmackDown, the best of pay-per-view matches, and also the best of NXT, which is an interesting move. A 30th anniversary of SummerSlam collection, a 25th anniversary of Raw, one dedicated to The Shield, best of the Hardy Boys, unreleased collections dedicated to Randy Savage and Shawn Michaels respectively, a documentary on AJ Styles, Shane McMahon's craziest moments, a collection of 24 documentaries, and so some interesting stuff there. So the Cesaro injury, his teeth didn't go out, his top teeth actually went into his gums by a few millimeters, so basically he's going to have some surgery on there, more than likely having those teeth removed and putting some implants in, so the idea is that he's probably going to be out for the week and whatever. That was a crazy spot. All the Mexico City shows for CMLL have been cancelled because of the earthquake that hit Mexico City. I know AAA did a fundraiser on their Twitch channel to raise money sort of for the relief efforts, which was good to see. More FloSlam stuff. So the NXT shows from this past weekend were the first for Cole, Fish O'Reilly, Kairi Sane, Dakota Kai and Raul Mendoza. So they're all officially on the tour. Also during the Ring of Honor pay-per-view, they announced that Kenny Omega will be on all 4 stops of the Global War show. So it'll be on 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th. They've also announced that Supercard of Honor 12 will be on April the 7th. So probably going head-to-head, or at least somewhat head-to-head, with the NXT show in New Orleans. Apparently that Sea of Honor tournament will be for a future Ring of Honor World title shot. And some big matches for Rev Pro's Global Wars in November. Yuki Nagata will be taking on Zack Gibson, and Rocky Romero one-on-one with Bubblegum. There's another one, but I'll get to that in a minute. Cyber Agent, which is a Japanese company that streams events, has purchased the entirety of DDT. So they'll be streaming DDT events on their service, which is Abema TV. Terry Funk's once again coming out of retirement. When doesn't he? To be in wrestling in Raleigh, North Carolina this past weekend, teaming up with Robert Gibson and Ricky Morton to take on Jerry Lawler, Brian Christopher, and Doug Gilbert. Also, Billy Gunn versus Gangrel was going to be on it, and appearances from Tommy Rich and Kevin Nash and Sergeant Slaughter and Jimmy Valiant. With the same matches happening in Spartansburg. And Magnum TA was at that one as well. Oh, this is an interesting one. Pro Wrestling Tees will be opening up a retail store on October the 13th in Chicago, Illinois. And we'll have a grand opening with basically the elite of the Young Bucks, Cody, Kenny Omega, and Marty Scurll. Tickets are basically already sold out for that. DJZ is going to be doing stuff there on the 13th and the 14th, and also on the 14th there'll be appearances from ACH and Sammy Callahan and Michael Elgin and Jeff Cobb, which is interesting. Also, Impact will be taping segments for its TV show at the WrestleCade show in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. It'll be going head-to-head with the Starrcade show in Greensboro. The other big Ring of Honor news is Cody's officially signed a multi-year deal with the company. It's rumoured to be sort of like 65 dates, with another 35 basically comprising other shows as well as New Japan. But in terms of at least wrestling in America, Cody will only be wrestling in Ring of Honor. He'll still be doing stuff internationally, so I guess probably Rev Pro stuff in the UK. And as I say, New Japan stuff. Just depends, where else he can go. Also, in some interesting turn of events, we've got a new Stardom champion. Because there was an unplanned title change. It was Mayu Iwatani defending her World of Stardom title against Toni Storm. But she had a bad landing on her hand in a pretty freak accident and suffered a dislocated elbow, and the referee stopped the match, and it was only like 2 minutes in or whatever. It was barely done, so basically, because of not being able to compete, Toni Storm got the belt. So she is, I think, World of Stardom champ as well as the other belt, unless she's had to vacate it. Belief is that Iwatani's probably going to be out between anywhere from 3 to 6 months to recover from a dislocation. Jeff's had a torn rotator cuff injury apparently for a few months, but he's getting surgery on it now, so he probably won't be in action until at least January now, probably. The Matt Cappotelli benefit show from this past weekend raised about $6,000 for his medical bills, which is great to see. Primo was back in action for the WWE in New Mexico this week. There's also a Bobby Heenan collection now up on the WWE Network. Asuka's going to be making her official Raw debut on the TLC pay-per-view on October 22nd. Oh, this is an interesting one. I didn't know whether to put it in the MMA stuff or the just generic news here. But a Muay Thai promotion in Singapore, the Asian Fighting Championships, did their first show on Saturday. And one of the fighters was a celebrity bout between Stephen Lin and a nightclub singer by the name of Sylvester Sim, who came second in the 2004 version of Singapore's American Idol. The thing is, neither had any training or fighting experience. Sim dropped out and was replaced by Pradip Surinanim, who's a competitive bodybuilder that's now a promoter, and they went to fight 2 2-minute rounds, and Subrananim was knocked down and the fight got stopped and died shortly afterwards in the hospital, with a preliminary cause of death being cardiac arrest. And of course there's a lot of controversy around it because these were fighters that weren't even experienced or anything, and there was no regulations for the fight and there was no medical testing either, so crazy shit. In WWE 2K18 news, we've got DLC coming. I've just announced. If I can find the details for it. The Hardys, Elias, Ruby Riott, Drew McIntyre, Lars Sullivan, the Rock and Roll Express, Beth Phoenix and Aleister Black will all be downloadable characters. And then also, in a pleasant surprise, 2K have also announced that the PC version of the game will be simultaneously releasing at the same time as PS4 and Xbox One. So you will be getting in a couple of weeks. You won't have to wait a number of months like you've had to do with the past. We'll certainly had to wait like 6 months, I think, for the past, for 2K16. And 2K17 was like a couple of months, so that's good to see, at least. Also, New Japan are doing a Young Lions Cup for the first time in 12 years, which will be called the Kotetsu Yamamoto Memorial Cup, in honour of Yamamoto, who was a long-time trainer in the dojo after retiring in 1980 from active competition. The format will be round-robin style, so we'll have Tomoyuki Oka, Kitsuyara Kitamura, Hirai Kawato, Ren Narita, Shota Umino, and Tetsuhiro Yagi all taking part. Oka is an amateur wrestling champ. Kitamura is a former amateur wrestling champ whose career got cut short because he tested positive for steroids back in 2011. Kawato, who's joined right out of high school, so he's one of the youngest ones that there is. Although, the next one, Ren Narita, is actually a few months younger, so he's actually the youngest. You've also got Shota, who's 20. He's the son of Red Shoes. And Tetsuhiro Yagi has got a background in baseball and is the newest young lion, having debuted back in April. These shows will start October 12th. And it's worth noting that Hiroki Goto won the last one back in 2005. And previous winners include Keiichi Yamada, basically Jushin Thunder Liger, Masahiro Chono, Hiroshi Tenzan, Satoshi Kojima, Manabu Nakanishi, and Ryusuke Taguchi. So it's, if you win this, you might have a career, son. Certainly. The Ring of Honor Global Wars Chicago show on October 15th will be having Kenny Omega defend the US title against Yoshihashi, which was built up at the end of the New Japan show that happened this past weekend. The Bullet Club sort of invaded Raw last night, showing up outside the building, basically. Also an interesting one, Cena's going to be starring alongside the Big Six Kumail Nanjiani in an untitled buddy cop movie that's been acquired by Universal. It's going to be directed by Ruben Fleischer of Zombieland fame. Nikki Bella survived the first week of eliminations in terms of Dancing with the Stars. And the other Rev Pro match for the Global Wars show, this time I think for the York Hall show on November 9th, so I don't know if it's a different date. For the first time ever, Tomohiro Ishii versus Keith Lee. And also, Nick Jackson tweeted out that over 100,000 Young Bucks shirts have been sold at Hot Topic in the past 3 months. Pretty crazy. So that's all my voice can handle. Hopefully that's okay for you. Hopefully Owen's okay with it. I don't know when I'm going to be doing more up-to-date content. Forgive me. I think you can catch up with yourself on the wrestling for the past week, be it Raw and SmackDown and Lucha. But yeah, in my current state, I really can't do too much long-form stuff like do hour videos. I'm amazed that I've been able to go like sort of 36 minutes already with this, so hopefully I'll be back. Hopefully I'll be back soon. Hashtag I need to feel better.